we doing today? We have got to revisit this tier list, right? Because it's the new season, meta's changing. We learned a lot of stuff. This is our old version, right? This is the version that we've been putting together. By the way, for those of y'all that don't know, this is our community-driven tier list. We're helping getting experiences from veteran players. So if you want to join the Discord, you can post screenshots, scenarios, situations, videos, anything that's happening to you in the arena that you think is worth changing a unit on the tier list or something that you just want to point out. Go ahead and pop it in the Discord, and we will take it into consideration for updating the future tier lists. Now, since the Magnus season is over, we've started the new season, and Nima is going to be changing our meta, but we're not quite at the point yet, I don't think, where we can actually put Nima on the tier list. We're not putting on units we haven't really seen, right? We're not putting on units that haven't quite made it into the top 50 teams, and the units that are making the top 3 teams definitely need to be graded a little bit higher based on the skill of the player. So there's a couple changes that I think we need to make, right? Because Irina hit the top 3 teams during Arena Rush at the end of season. She hit the top 3 teams multiple times, but we had a video that a user sent to us where we saw a very well-built Irina, and she was actually performing trash. So even though she was technically performing bad in that video, we're going to chalk it up to user error because she was frontlined, and I don't think she needs to be frontlined at all. And since she did make top 3 teams and was helping people get into the top 3 rank in Arena by season end, I think she needs to be popped up to S for sure. So we're just going to take her and put her right here. Tarek was also in there. So this is the other thing we have to work out too. These other units, some of the units that are S tier, were not really used in the top 3 teams. So if a unit was in the top 3 teams, we're going to have to push them up. And then we're going to have to push some of these units back. So right now from our old list, we've moved a couple around of the units in the S, and we popped Irina up to S, and she's actually going to have to hold on B because she was in one of the top teams. Now, Evelyn was also in the top teams, so she's going to have to be bumped up to S as well. Christopher, also very, very used in the top team, so he's going to have to be bumped up to S as well. Which means, unfortunately, these guys are our strategy for getting to Platinum is not going to be top tier anymore because of the meta happening right now and the meta shifts. These dudes are probably going to be bumped down to A. And Madeline was also able to hit a top 3 team, but she's also super meta now. We're learning more about characters that we didn't know a lot about in the past, and the way that she's able to just pull everyone in from such a large range, completely negating the spread meta, is going to definitely pop her up to S. So unfortunately, units that cannot take advantage of the spread meta without Madeline, such as Farias and Ziv, we might actually have to end up popping them down to A. And Econ, we didn't even really see in the top 50. I think originally we memed him at A tier, didn't we? We were like, oh, he looks so cool, he deserves to be A. But that's just simply, he's just not A material, you know? Examina was able to hit in the top 3 teams one time, so definitely not B, but I still don't think she's quite S. I think that was situational because they were taking advantage of other S tier units. I think they popped her in there one night as a test, and they just weren't able to be pushed down enough, but she'll still be in the A. I think Marissa is only going to be an A because even though she only made the top 3 one time, she was still in there, but she just wasn't able to hold it down like some of these other units were. We've definitely seen some new players getting a hold of Nakri because of the banner, saying how that she is definitely not what they want in their arena team. Same with Kairos. People are starting to realize that these are PvE heavy units, and the only reason they were working in PvP at the time was because people were still building up, and now that a lot more players have built up their equipment and their levels, they're starting to shine a little bit less. But I'll still go ahead and keep them in the A for now. And even Bothwell, don't forget, even Bothwell was in the top 3. He wasn't on it at an ending night, but he was in some of those teams that were at top 3 at certain parts of the day. So we definitely can't just leave him at C. We got to pop him up to high B at least, because that's clearly something to take into account. Unfortunately for Robin, we learned that he doesn't actually reset enemy abilities. If he gets a kill, he resets his own cooldown. He's not nearly as used as Trevor. I don't think he's really as useful as Trevor either in the arena meta. He might be popped down to a C. We're going to have to remember Maria. Now, this is why I like changing this. Maria was also in one of those top 3 teams. Again, she only hit it for one night. Even though it was only for one night, she was there. She was present in a top 3 team. Obviously is going to be pushing her to an A with the other units that were able to hit that goal. So Agnes, again, haven't seen any of her lately. Agnes is not doing too hot. We only put her up to C because somebody was, I think, raging pretty hard that she was an F. So we gave them the benefit of the doubt and put her up to C. But again, haven't seen her at all. Or if I do see her, she's very easy to one-shot. If she's not being one-shotted, she's built tankier. So she's like not doing any damage. We'll put her down to D. And this is about where we're sitting at right now. So let's break down into a little bit more detail some of the units that we think need to be placed. All right, now let's talk about Popo a minute because he is all the way back at B, right? We have seen him in the top 50 teams quite a lot. We placed him in B because his cleanse was separate from his damage ignore, which could be a good and a bad thing. But I don't think we're taking into account base units anymore because before we were considering units that were really good at base and that could carry players. But now I think we're at the point at Season 2 where we really need to start taking into account units that actually carried players all the way to the top 50. And Popo is definitely one of those units carrying players. We might have to pop him up to an A and then revisit some of our A tier units. So let's go ahead and revisit Anton for a minute because before we talked about all of the benefits that he brings with us. He brings us defense down, decreased rage bar in the same skill. He increases his own attack bar and he recovers his own HP, and a lot of his skills are multi-hit. But you know what? He only does it to one character. A really good thing about these like melee units is they can a good thing about some of these bruiser units is that they increase their own attack bar and they just get a lot of extra turns. So Anton can do that with one skill. But let's look at Trevor for a second because he does that whenever he's attacked. So if your dealer is getting attacked, he's going to recover some attack bar. He increases his attack bar whenever he defeats enemies with his rage skill. So if he gets his rage skill and kills somebody, he basically gets another turn to kill somebody again to get more rage bar to get another turn after he kills somebody again. So there's just like other things to look at on other characters that makes certain mercenaries outshine others. And I think that Anton is being really outshined right now. Even though his kit is super cool and super good, it's not being used enough to be really placed in an S tier with all of those top units. That's why we pushed him down. But something, I mean, when was the last time you saw an Anton in top 50? Let's go check right now. If we see a single Anton in the top 50 of Arena, we'll keep him in A tier. So let's see. Nima is definitely getting up there. If you see the Anton, point it out, because I haven't seen one yet. See, Madeline, that's what we talked about. Madeline is definitely being used a lot more. Again, I'm seeing a lot of Marissa, a lot of, you know, dealers that are not Anton. So even though he has such an amazing kit, it doesn't matter, because no one's using him. And mine isn't even built. So I've also seen people in the chat saying that he's underwhelming, that they've built him and they feel like he's underwhelming. So who am I to say, oh, I've never built this unit, but I really like their kit, so we're going to pop him in S tier, right? If he's not in the top 50 and he's clearly not being used, there's got to be a reason for that. So I think for now, he's definitely going to have to be popped down to B. Until some more people can start using him and telling me like how well he's doing. Again, with Amy, like I'm going to be straight honest. I put her in A because I'm biased. I'm not even going to lie. I put her in there because I'm biased. I'm putting her down in B because she requires way too much like skill ups and stuff to be effective. She requires way too many stats. You need effect accuracy for her stun. To land her attack break, you need it. You need skill ups to ensure that her bouncing bullet is like hitting multiple enemies. If she's not getting AoEs off, she's really not meeting her full potential. And I think that's why you don't see her that often and why people don't really use her. So I'll pop her down to B because I was just biased. So what about like new units that we didn't place before? All right, I'm looking at here. I think I could scroll down. Did that work? So these are the units we haven't placed yet. Besides Nima, she's clearly going to be like in one of the S's or one of the A's, but she's just like not used enough yet. Have we seen any of these units enough to place them? I've had a lot of people recommending Miles to me. So we'll look at Miles, right? Whenever he's promoted, he's got a silence, a fear, and steals beneficial effects. Now here's the thing about silence. Provoke is like twice as good because silence, if you see here, it only lets them use the first skill. Well, so does provoke, but provoke also doesn't let them choose who they want to attack. So Magnus's provoke is also an AoE. I don't think this is an AoE, is it? We could go test it. Why not? That's why we're here. So we'll go ahead and promote it all the way. SSR, equip his stuff. First skill. All right, it's an AoE, but in Arena, how often are you going to be able to hit two people like that? And then even if you do, you only got a silence out of it instead of a provoke. I don't think he's that good. Prove me wrong. I mean, send me videos of him. That's what we're doing. So we will place him on the tier list, but he's definitely not going like straight up to S, not going straight up to A. We'll set Miles as a high B. I would definitely choose Amy over Miles. I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I still think I would choose Anton over Miles. I don't think I'm being biased when I say that. I think it's safe to put him right there in the B. Who else? We're not really seeing these other characters being used. So we definitely need to see more action from them if we want to put them on the list. So this is about what we're sitting at now. Let's just look at revisions for a second. I don't think anyone in the S tier really deserves to be pushed down, except maybe Irina. But if she's hitting the top 3 that consistently, she has to be S tier. We'll put her at the lowest form of S tier we can, because we really need some more evidence that she really deserves to be in there. So she's kind of just in a tentative position there. Marissa is just all over the arena. Let's go back and check it out. Go to rankings. We got, see, there's Examina again. I didn't even notice. She's in the top team again right now. So, hold on. She's consistently hitting in the top team, but we already have her at high A. It's also not a reset time. It's just sometime in the middle of the day. He's not that high. We'll look at it in a second. Another Examina. Okay, Fairy Ass is being used a lot. I'm glad to see that. I hope that we're able to combo the Madeline Fairy Ass and push him back up. Again, I'm not seeing Miles. There's Marissa. Marissa. This dude's got the best Marissa. So there's a lot of Marissa going around. So what does Marissa bring us? She brings us a defense break. All right. She does a lot of damage. If she gets a kill, she's going to get her rage bar. She's going to be able to use her rage skill to get another kill. She does electric shock. Her card increases crit rate when the enemy is below 30% HP. So technically, if you paired her with Tala, Tala's 40% crit rate, and that 40% crit rate, you would literally need 0% crit rate to build her. But at that point, if someone's already 30% or below, they're probably dying anyways. Exclusive equipment just grants more electric shock, so we have bonus damage. Defense break is really good. Increasing her own movement range is good. So if she's a dealer, they can increase her own movement range. If you have your dealer stat max, that'll increase even more. She can go like halfway across the stage. And this just hits 5 times and does a shit ton of damage. So people are just like using her as nuke master right now, I think is what's going on. Now let's revisit Scarlet, because there's definitely been some people talking about, yo, you placed Scarlet wrong. So what do you mean? Let's see, where is she? All right, here we got her. Yeah, they say like she's not really built for nuke. She's as a support. You're supposed to kind of treat her like a support with all of these debuffs. So the decrease attack is only 45%. You need a lot of accuracy for that. This is 80% immovable. That's not bad, but doesn't that only work on 2 guys? Decrease attack bar, that's good. Decrease defense with no accuracy requirement. And then this one, so basically just if you want the attack break, you need accuracy. So I guess she could be a really good support. I mean, you have something for every situation. If a nuke is coming at you hard as hell and you got to break his attack, you could do that. You could also put a movable on some dealers and decrease their attack bars. You could decrease the defense of some dudes that are hurting you pretty bad. And if you stun somebody and decrease their defense, they're sitting duck for you to hit them. Removing beneficial effects is good. This also hits a crap ton of times. We'll say she could belong in A, right? Yeah, she could belong in A. So this is about where we're sitting at right now, y'all. Again, in a couple weeks, whenever I have Nima and I'm able to use her a bunch, we'll pop her in there. If you have some units that you think belong in a certain spot, send me some videos of them doing some crazy shit and we'll talk about it. But other than that, y'all, this is what we're looking at now. Tier list 2.0. Next is going to be 2.1. Check the description for the Discord. Just join in. We also got new players, veteran players. Anybody, if you have questions, go ahead and drop your questions. We'll answer them. And yeah, this is it. So that's going to do it for me today, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.